This podcast was created as a part of Podcast Lab by India Film Project in association with Anchor by Spotify.
Hello. Okay. So to answer the question on what does creativity mean, or what does creativity means to me, I would say creativity would mean a different combination of existing traits or existing uh, art forms or existing beauty out there, and trying to find a different combination, combining different extreme possibilities of different characteristics of beauty in different forms. So it's combining it, something that is already existing in a different form. And I don't think there is something that is really, really unique. It's all about creating combinations of existing things. So for me, that's creativity, right? So I am basically a social entrepreneur who run two different organizations. One is Humans of Kerala. Humans of Kerala is a story sharing platform wherein we bring stories of different people from all walks of life who have their identity connected to Kerala, who are in some way or the other related to Kerala. And here we feature people from all walks of life, ordinary people, the real people, and doesn't matter if they have achieved something, if they have done something great, or if they have simply had a great day or a really bad day or a really bad experience. So we try to bring forth all the narratives under a single umbrella, and from featuring people related to Kerala to covering up all forms of regions. All sorts of regions are now ongoing. We try to feature everyone now as much as possible. We are spreading this scope of just featuring people who are just related to Kerala. So that's about Humans of Kerala. And now about the other organization is Yellow Club. So Yellow Club works to make mental health services more accessible and affordable for everyone. So at Yellow Club, we try to easily link people with practitioners who offer services at a very affordable rate. So if you find like if you try to look for Yellow Club in Play Store or App Store, or you try to contact us, we'll help you find the right practitioner for you at a very affordable rate. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. And so yeah, so this has been my passion. Um, like hearing about different narratives and storytelling sorts through Humans of Kerala, and working on mental health aspect, which is I'm really passionate about at Yellow Club. So yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Closet Writer Chronicles. I'm your host Sangeeta, aka the Moody Marshmallow. You just heard our guest for today, Rahul Roy. Rahul is the founder of Humans of Kerala and Yellow Club. He is a passionate storyteller and a social entrepreneur who likes to create organization structures that can enable real change in society. His interests are predominantly in films and photography. Rahul has made 15 short films during his time as a student at St. Stephen's, Delhi, with one of those films winning a national award for social impact. I'm so excited to chat with him about his entrepreneurial ventures, social impact, storytelling, and a lot more. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Closet Writer Chronicles. This week I have Rahul Roy with me. Welcome to the show, Rahul. It's so good to have you here.
Thank you, Sangeeta, for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you because I've had the privilege of, working with one of the organizations you run, which is Yellow Club. And of course, we're also going to talk about Humans of Kerala and the amazing work you're doing there. So to kind of just, dive right in, let's talk a little bit about Humans of Kerala. How did you decide to start that page and what triggered the idea to do it?
Yeah, so Humans of Kerala pages, most of you guys might know, like there are a lot of Humans of pages, just
Right.
starting with the Humans of New York page.
Mm.
So, when I was just scrolling through Instagram some 3, 4 years back, when I first saw Humans of Bombay, I first saw Humans of Bombay page and I saw how they have captured the emotions of people in their portraits and then the kind of story narratives that they focused on. And then I only got to know about Humans of New York after Humans of Bombay. So then I discovered there were, plenty of Humans of pages across the world. And then I thought, why not a Humans of Kerala? That was the first thought I had. Like I was just randomly searching for if there is one already, and then I found there is none.
Okay.
And also one thing that sort of frustrated me was this Humans of Bombay page. I thought it will be like an exclusive page for just the Mumbaikers or something, but then I found out it is having some pan India appeal, and
Right.
people thought whatever that comes on Humans of Bombay is about the India. And then
Right.
when I also closely inspected, I found there are no South Indian stories coming up there, especially from Kerala at least.
Right.
Like I'm sure in the past few years there have been a lot of stories, but when I looked at for the first time, there weren't any stories coming from Kerala or
Hmm.
from the South.
Hmm.
So I felt a bit you know it's sort of like that division of South coming into the picture in some way or the other.
Right.
Like we are marginalized over here or something.
Right.
Uh, that was just a instantaneous thought I had then.
Right.
A few months went by. So when I was in college, we had this amazing society or a club called Humans of Stephens. Okay,
Okay.
uh, that club basically features final year outgoing students and their journey through college, how their life changed, some of the interesting events and thoughts that they want to give to freshers, etc.
Okay.
And I was really looking forward to be featured there, but
Okay.
unfortunately I didn't get featured,
Oh.
right? And I was sad about it, but at the same time I closely observed how they worked,
Right.
how they interviewed people, how they took photos, how they
Hmm.
arranged, how they did the selection process. So in a nutshell, I could learn from how they functioned
Right.
for how a humans of page should
Hmm.
be like.
Right.
So I took that inspiration from them. Then I
Hmm.
thought, okay, maybe I'll start one on my own. And the fact that Kerala doesn't have one, why
Hmm.
don't we start one with Kerala?
Right.
And then again, a couple of months went by, and I think that's when the great floods in Kerala happened.
Hmm.
For the second time,
Right.
and then for a long time there was a sense of grief and uh, like pain and stuff, and then soon again there was this sense of uh, connect the connectedness and
Hmm.
feeling for the community of Kerala. Like
Right.
everyone came together, so I felt this was the right time. Just after the flood, that
Hmm.
feeling of togetherness, the identity of Kerala. Then
Right.
we started, quickly right after that, and I just randomly went on traveling, and then to different places in Kerala and talking to random people,
Okay.
taking the photographs and then writing some notes, which later
Okay.
everything then later turned out to be Humans of Kerala story. So
Wow.
I guess this is how everything happened.
Oh my. Okay. That's amazing. That's incredible. And
Yeah,
but no,
makes
that's
sense.
amazing. And I love the fact that you traveled across and you were kind of sort of interviewing these people, which
Hmm.
then sort of kind of it I want to kind of pivot to this, is that because I know you're also a filmmaker because you made a lot of short films in college.
Yeah,
So I wonder,
yeah.
somewhere does that filmmaker in you, that storyteller in you, also kind of influence the kind of stories you want, the real life stories you want to tell of people? And also, like, how do you
mm,
decide what kind of stories you want to put out, you
mm,
want to kind of have people know? And initially, how did it work? And like you said, it is a pretty saturated market in a sense, because there was Humans of New York, there's Humans of Bombay, and there were a lot of these humans of, whatever pages coming up. So then to take that
mm,
step of like, I will do a Humans of Kerala, and then, obviously there is the, I don't want to say fear, but there is the thought of like, will I get an audience, and will people willingly come
mm,
out and share their stories? That's the other thing. So
mm.
this is like a two-part question in a way. Like, how does filmmaking kind of influence you, and also how did you get people on board?
Right. I think to answer the first question, how the influence of being a aspiring filmmaker and also making some short videos during college influenced me. Uh, I think as a filmmaker, I would really love listening to stories
Okay.
and especially different narratives.
Hmm.
I would love to listen to them. And
Hmm.
also, being a filmmaker gave me a sense of sort of, especially being a short filmmaker, I mean, interested in short films. It gave me that knack to, sort of uh, conceptualize and break down complex stories into uh, like small parts
Right.
that are digestible, or at least that are very comprehensive and that fits in the criteria of a platform like Instagram, where
Right.
people don't want to read on to a lengthy, really lengthy ones. They want
Mhm.
to keep it as short as possible, and then there
Right.
is also character limit. So to destructure the narratives that people tell,
Hmm.
and then make a comprehensive story out of it, is
Hmm.
something I think that came to me through this, the background that I had maybe with the filmmaking. So that's about that. Then coming to the next question of
How
sorry,
did you
what
get
was
people?
the question again?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
how did you get people on board?
how did I get? Yeah. Yeah, I think like I too had the same question. Like I was feeling like, I'm just going to start. I was just out of college and I didn't know much of any influencers or, how to run a page
Hmm.
to be exactly.
Hmm.
And then I had to reach out to so many people. If I was wondering if it's physically and logistically possible for me to myself do it. But then I had 2 3 members joining in, like
Okay.
who were the core team members, who also showed the interest. But we all had the same. We were posed with the same problem.
Right.
How do we build that legitimacy and authenticity for the page so that people will then send their own stories and they feel like this is trustworthy.
Right.
uh, so what we did was, okay, then we thought, okay, if I am to start this page, all on a sudden I should first start with some really prominent people whom I know personally or through friends.
Right.
So there was this one person from my district. Like I've personally seen him and heard him talking, and he was a great social activist,
Okay.
philanthropist, and who runs a charity organization. uh,
Okay.
and especially he's working with mentally challenged people,
Okay.
and also with the healthcare and doing some service out there in the medical college area in Kottayam district.
Okay.
uh, I, I've I've heard him talk about his experience during my school days. So when I try to recollect, like the first person who came to my mind, like who are the deserving people whom I personally know and
Right.
through friends whom I might know. So then I thought I'll try to connect to him, and it
Okay.
was he was very much reachable, and he was within my vicinity, like in my same district. So
Right.
I could access to him, and then I took his interview. That was the first interview,
Okay.
and we never had an identity. How to tell him what are we? what is this
Right.
organization, but we just told him
Hmm.
we're just starting this organization which wants to feature people who are making a change, a difference, and then
Hmm.
also come back to like really ordinary people and share their stories and narratives.
Hmm.
Like he really liked the idea,
Okay.
and the kind of I don't know, since like when he acknowledged us, and when he sort of accepted we are doing something, I think that's when we gave I gained the confidence, because that he was
Right.
someone I personally looked up on. So
Okay.
that was the first interview, and he gave it so seriously, like as if we are coming
Hmm.
from a reputed channel or something. So that gave me the confidence, and now we have someone to tell others about, like, we have interviewed this person, so this
Right.
is the panel of interviewees, and you are one among them, so people felt validated.
Right.
uh, and that's how it started. And so for the couple of initial interviews, we focused on these people who really made change, and
Right.
then that gave us the ground to ask for more, and also reach out to more people.
Okay.
Then I think, then midway between that, we also, like, it was like this. We pick up some few people, like, who are really prominent, who are some way or the other influencing the political, socio cultural scenario out here. And
Right.
then on the way to their interview location, we would find a normal person. Maybe it's an auto driver, or
Right.
we stand by we have to go by a tea shop and ask for a direction. Then we start a conversation with them. That's how we go to other stories as well. And then
Oh.
finally, the whole thing, the combination of both,
Right.
gave that sense of credibility for the platform. And
Right.
starting with someone whom people might have that recall value, gave
Right.
us that instantaneous sense of like sort of that legitimacy and authenticity. And
Right.
then it went on, it slowly built up, and then it became what it is today. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing because yeah, I think the page has really grown. What I love is because
Hmm.
you featured people like a Manu Pillai, Anna Ben, Mali, and a lot
Mm.
of other like really well-known faces. But there are
Yeah.
also very real human stories also of people you wouldn't know, like how you would see obviously on the
Right.
humans of pages. They're very real
Hmm.
everyday life stories. But
Right.
also then kind of begs the other question of, because you're sharing such real stories, you also end up sharing on things, on themes and topics like say um, LGBTQIA plus abuse, death, and possibly darker, more sensitive themes as well on the page, because I've seen it. How do you decide
Mm.
what goes up? And is there ever a discussion to censor something? Or are you very unfiltered with the content that goes up on Humans of Kerala?
Um, yeah, I think that's something that I initially wanted to, uh, make this platform or build this platform to be like, to have real narratives, and to, give that sense of reality. Like, when I say humans of Kerala or humans of any places, uh, there are a lot of narratives that are not into the mainstream, or people don't think, or people don't really anticipate and accept these stories are out there.
Right,
Some are very much commercialized, and some feel like, okay, to be honest, like some stories are like success stories, like people
right,
achieved something, they made
right.
a significant change. I mean, yeah, well, there are people like that, and
Hmm.
we might know about them. Then there are some people who have done some humble stuff,
Right,
and people who are still contented and happy with their life.
right,
Then there are people who have not done anything of that sort, but who are struggling with their life, who
right,
are facing some challenges, who have overcome those challenges. Those might not be even a challenge on the the larger narrative of this public narrative, but
Right.
but those are their real life daily struggles.
Hmm.
So we thought, our sense of the platform was like it should be so real that it accommodates for all of this. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
it should also uh, like very intentionally we made to ensure that we try to ensure that uh, there are certain marginalized sections in the society, I would say,
Right.
like marginalized people,
Hmm.
and then there are also some marginalized topics,
Right.
taboos that we hate to talk or
Hmm.
discuss about. But I think there are a lot of conversations
Right.
starting in different forums. But and only if we have that vision within us that we intentionally want to focus on this, I think at least we would try for these stories, or we would readily accept these stories. So we had this in mind, to have and like the final intention was to normalize these conversations and normalize these narratives
Right.
and normalize their perspectives on life. For example, having more stories around the LGBTQA community,
Yeah.
we think it's very necessary.
Right.
Like we have had stories of marriage of a gay couple
Right.
and a transgender woman leading an amazing life, fighting
Right.
all their odds in the life.
Hmm.
uh, I think these are very important because
Definitely.
when people, like common people, like read these stories, they get to understand, okay, this is there in the society, and we should push these stories alongside with all the successful people's story and
Definitely.
achievers stories, because that would make a sense, that would create that feeling that, okay, this is also normal, this all comes along the same plane. you
Right.
know there is no difference out there. This is life.
Hmm.
Life for these people mean this, and for these people it's this. And we are not here for a comparison,
Right.
and this is what life it's all about. So that was sort of intentional. We want to focus on that, and fortunately we got a lot of these stories organically, and some we also made effort to uh, really dig up on such stories and narratives. So I think that was very intentional, and what we wanted to achieve was to normalize these narratives and initiate more conversations, and sort of destigmatize whatever misconceptions that there are around these. I mean, also we are really sure that when we throw light on these real stuff,
Right.
sometimes there are some dark stories.
Yes, they can be
uh,
really
like
heavy.
the reception might be mixed.
Right.
Some people might, I mean, yeah, we cannot be very certain about how the society or the majority is going to react anyway.
Yeah.
There will be some hatred in the comment sections. Some people might DM us,
Right.
or some people might even go after them.
Right.
But we can't help it.
Hmm.
Somewhere or the other, we have to get started with this conversation. And
Definitely.
as long as, like, our policy has been, as long as the people who send us these stories are okay with putting up their identity,
Right.
or as long as we validate their identity and the narrative that they give, and we sort of cross check if this is
Hmm.
real, and we are
Right.
confident with it. We
Right.
don't really we are not really afraid of anyone else. Like, this is what
Hmm.
it takes. Like, we are to be sure this is real. And if they are okay with
Definitely.
putting up their identity, sometimes we put it without their identity as well. But
Okay.
this is the basic fact check that we do. If this is real, this has happened, and if this is a fact, we're
Right.
not afraid of anything else, the consequences, but we are looking at the larger perspective. The conversation that we just start, that might have a huge implication for the future and in the society. So that's
Yeah.
what we believe in.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful, and more power to you and your team for, really going
Thank you.
out, getting, these stories and really putting them out, because
Mhm.
I think, yeah, like you said, I completely agree. As important as it is to hear the success stories, it's important to hear about everyday people who are trying to kind of, do something
Yeah,
with their lives.
true.
In fact, that's something I believe in, and that's something I'm trying to do with this podcast as well. So completely
Mhm.
resonate with where you're coming from on that. And I think you've managed to be successful in that area as well, with especially with the kind of respect or reception the page has got and it continues to get, which is, I think, incredible, and more power to you and your team. um,
Thank you, Sangeeta.
yeah. So, like we spoke about, there's so many kinds of stories being shared on the HOK page. Are there any, specific themes or stories you'd like to see more of, on the page, or even, just apart from the page, generally, like stories you'd love to see people just share in general? Is
Right,
it specific like that?
right, right. I think one core area that we tried to focus was mental health.
Right.
We wanted like especially because like our audience group,
Mm.
the current audience group has been between 25 to 35 mostly,
Right.
right? And also like other chunk falling between 18 to 25. So
Mhm.
the majority lies in this range, and when we try to understand, like the majority are facing, like what the problem, like the most prominent issue is around mental health. You know,
Right.
especially since after lockdown and Corona.
Mm.
So we wanted to address those problems. Like we have started some conversation. Like we wanted to highlight those issues that are coming up,
Right.
and we are trying to push that further as well. So mental health is
Okay.
an area that we
Okay.
want to focus, and we are looking forward to more stories and narratives coming when we really like to normalize all the conversations and all the thoughts that are out there, and
Yeah.
sort of like an awareness.
Definitely.
Another area is around gender and sexuality.
Okay.
Uh, focusing more narratives of people who are non-binary or from LGBTQ community.
Definitely.
We have just touched upon some stories, but
Mm.
then we would definitely want to explore more. And these two topics we believe are very much important. Uh,
Definitely.
and one more thing that we have specifically focused on and have given intentionally our attention is along empowering women and women narrative.
Right.
Uh, alongside with the LGBTQ community, like especially women entrepreneurs and women who have tried to achieve something. We have tried to boost their morale and
Yeah.
narratives through our stories. We have featured actually a lot of those women change makers,
Mm.
and that's something that we have worked closely with, and we would love to see in the future as well more of such narratives and stories. So I
Wow.
guess these three are the areas that
Yeah.
I would really love the platform to have more of stories on.
Yeah. No, for sure. And definitely those are areas that are very important and very relevant also in today's day
Hmm.
and age to especially talk more about, for sure.
Yeah.
And kind of just taking from, one of the topics, which is mental health, let's talk about Yellow
Mhm.
Club, which I
Right.
think has been doing some incredible work and which I have been very fortunate to be a very small part of. So thank you for
Right.
letting me
Right.
be a part of the family. But
No, I'm thankful to for the amazing work you have done for the magazine. Like we released the first magazine edition, and you were the editor in charge and the editor in chief for the whole. And I think it was received really well. And all kudos and thanks to you for doing that amazing job. Thank you, Sangeeta.
thank you so much, Rahul. And hopefully, we will do more great work together.
Yeah,
Hopefully, it's
definitely.
been such an amazing collaboration. But, talking
Yeah.
about Yellow Club and, mental health, how did Yellow Club
Mhm.
happen? What drove you to kind of start this organization and run it?
Right. So, mental health has been a topic in an area that has been really close to me
Hmm.
because I have had my fair share of struggle with mental health during
Right.
my school days and in college,
Hmm.
and and it was only during my final college days that I got to know about uh, like the very basic awareness around mental health. Why is it important, and how to deal with it, how to
Right.
access help. stuff like
Hmm.
that. I only got to know in my final year of college, and I think I was privileged to have that opportunity
Definitely.
and to have those discussion around me.
Hmm.
uh, Even if it was late for me, but I think I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity at that point of time. But then when I got to know the stuff, I
Right.
thought it was important for me to continue the awareness that I got, and at the same time, in my potential and capacity, what can I do around the pressing needs and problems in mental health sector. These were the thoughts that I had, finally after the seminar that I attended on mental health during my
Right.
during my final days in college, in my final year. But I didn't know what to do, how to go about it. This thought was just there. And then, as I said, like we started with Humans of Kerala page, and we started getting a lot of stories.
Right.
Once we had that, once we become established, and
Hmm.
a lot of youth started sending in stories, especially around mental health. So
Right.
we figured out like this is a topic that people would love to hear about and people are concerned with, and there is still this taboo and stigma around this topic, and people talk about it in not so comfortable manner, not so
Right.
freely.
Right.
So we thought, why don't we start some conversation around it, start some awareness around it, and then we started just with another social media page, Yellow Club,
Right.
where we posted basic stuff around awareness on mental health, basics of mental health.
Right.
And later we just started conducting events,
Right.
sort of like awareness programs, workshop. We did the first workshop in Kochi, and
Hmm.
it was received well. On the
Right.
World Mental Health Day 2019, people
Right.
turned in, people discussed about their queries and their worries and their doubts and concerns. And when they understood the information and the basics,
Hmm.
they were really happy. And that sort of gave that liberation to them, like mental health is something so important in
Yeah.
everyone's life, but
Definitely.
nobody had that access to the information, or knew what to do about it, how to
Right.
access.
Right.
And again, we figured out like the two key problems that we wanted to address were, one is accessibility of services, mental
Right.
health services in the country, and second is also working around the affordability of these services.
Hmm.
So we decided from there on, this organization, Yellow Club, would stand for these two values, like to make
Hmm.
mental health services more accessible and affordable. Now, how
Right.
can we do that? How can we work on it?
Hmm.
Ever since then, it's been a journey. It's almost 1.5 years now
Right.
from then, and now we have finally managed to come up with a solution. So our solution is like a technological solution,
Right.
where we have built an application that would help anyone easily access a practitioner, a mental health provider, anywhere from India,
Right.
and you can book a session at a very affordable rate.
Right.
If you have just $200 with you, it's fine. You can book a
Hmm.
session, or if you don't have anything, you can freely have a listening service and vent out your feelings and find your comfortable safe space here.
Right.
So this is the idea.
Hmm.
So, and we have finally worked on the solution. So this
Hmm.
has been the journey with Yellow Club. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's it's incredible. And like you said, mental health is something that's really important, and especially in a country like India and even South Asia in general, mental health is still so
Mhm.
taboo. But
Mhm.
thankfully, that narrative is slowly but surely changing. With, of course, organizations like Yellow Club and others, who are doing some incredible work.
True.
Um, so that kind of then brings me, what are some changes that you hope to see around mental health, in, like I mentioned, India, South Asia, or even just globally speaking, what is something you
Mhm.
hope, like relevant changes you hope to see in the mental health realm, and what does mental health mean to you?
Right. So what mental health really means to me is, see, mental health is something. that needs to be uh, seen in a very a colorful shade in everyone's
Right.
life.
Right.
The fact that even in our discussions are not okay, maybe not in our discussion, but anyone who hears this term mental health,
Yeah.
for them it means something negative,
True.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's something sad or depressing.
Yeah.
uh, it has a gray shade to it.
Yeah.
It's not like you talk about health,
Right.
fitness. You don't mention mental health around the same line. It's something
Yeah.
different. So,
Hmm.
like, ultimately, what we love to achieve is that realization,
Right.
that mental health, there is nothing wrong. It's there. You have to face it every day, acknowledge it,
Hmm. Yeah.
and let's put that in a positive light. And uh, once we know it's important, how do we work around it?
Hmm.
In our daily conversation, like, when people see each other, how are you doing? What does that really mean? How are
Hmm.
you doing? We are trying to know what the mental state of other person is like. Mostly in our conversation, we wouldn't dare to tell anyone what the mood is like
Right.
or what we are going through,
Right.
because we feel that's something not so welcomed, or
Hmm.
that's not something that is important.
Hmm.
Talking about the feelings, talking about the wellness, mental state, we really want all the conversation and the culture to be shifted in a manner that people are really free talking about what the state is like, what
Right.
their disturbances or what
Right.
their emotional mood is like.
Right.
uh, those sort of conversation and the liberation to that extent,
Right.
and acknowledging mental health is there,
Hmm.
accept it, and then how to how to work on it is
Hmm.
what we really want to achieve,
Right.
especially starting from schools. Some of the institutions
Definitely.
we believe who can make a really great change out there is institutions such as schools and also families,
Definitely.
right? Starting these conversations there,
Yeah.
at a family,
Hmm.
in initial days of an
Yes.
upbringing of a child, how we can inculcate these thoughts on mental health and wellness,
Definitely.
self care.
Yes. Yeah.
Those ideas have to be implanted
Yeah, for
in a
sure.
family and also in a schooling system. So this is
Definitely.
what we ultimately want to achieve, and this would create a long lasting impact. This would create
Definitely.
individuals who are self aware. This would create individuals uh, who know to deal with life, and
Definitely.
who who would embrace the life in all of its vulnerabilities, incompleteness, and who would love to and who would still make something out of it,
Right.
and a happy society out there. So
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
what I think we are envisioning, and
Hmm.
we are looking forward to. So yeah.
Yeah. And, hopefully there will be a day where, we all see this world being created because, like you said, much
Right.
needed. And you're right. It really starts from, childhood and at home, right, with family. I think getting
Right.
normalizing those conversations at home is very important so that even
Right.
while growing up, kids know how to kind of deal with issues. They know what they can do. They know that it's normal to feel certain things, to go through certain things. And it's just like
Right.
any other physical health condition, like, oh, I have a headache, or, something's wrong with me, or I have a broken bone, I can go to a doctor. It's the same thing. I'm feeling really low. There's a lot of fatigue. I'm mentally stressed. Something doesn't feel right. I can go to a therapist or I can just talk it out with someone. So, that
Right.
is important. Like you said, I completely agree for sure. And here's praying to a future like that for sure. um
Right.
but yeah, kind of, coming to something, like shifting gears a little bit. Something I've noticed is that,
Mhm.
Yellow Club incorporates a lot of Malayali culture in its content while talking about mental health, because I have noticed
Yeah.
posts where you have literally used, characters like uh, Parampuri. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or completely butchered the
Yeah.
name. I think I
Parampuri.
yes,
Yeah.
Rahul. Rahul is like this Malayali who settled in Chennai, who can't speak. But yeah,
Yeah.
as I like to call Barakyapam, because that's how I've been taught to call it. So
Mm.
suddenly it's
Yeah, it has different names across Kerala. Like
yeah.
I think around the central Kerala and north, it's Parampuri,
Hmm.
but it's also called Ethakkapam,
Yes,
and
Ethikyap,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
I call
yeah,
it
that's
Barakyapam
right.
because that's how I've been like at home and in Trivandrum. That's how like my grandparents used to refer to it.
Ah,
So
right, yeah.
yeah, but for those who are clueless about what we're talking about, it's basically banana fritters. Very, very tasty
Yeah.
dish. But no, basically, coming back to the question. So there are characters like you've literally used like banana fritters and stuff to talk as characters to talk about, say, like an anxiety or depression or something like that. And obviously,
Mm,
the Humans of Kerala page is also very Malayali centric, and it's about Malayalis everywhere. And you
mm,
also spoke about South Indian representation as such, but I just wonder, how important is it for you to culturally represent what you are,
mm.
because honestly both pages are doing such a great job at it. So is it something you're actively striving for, especially considering the north south divide like we spoke
Mm.
about? What is your
Right.
take on that?
Yeah, I think representation is a important thing.
Hmm.
Like as I said before, in the narratives, we want to represent diverse diverse people with diverse backgrounds, with diverse identities, and
Hmm.
representation always brings in a sense of harmony.
Hmm.
That sense of what do you say, like. Uh, that you try to accept this world is diverse, and then you try to find it in a positive light,
Right.
and which also kills a lot of misconceptions, prejudice, and other sort of judgments that are existing. So we believe representation is very important. Giving voices to different people is very important
Right.
from all the kind of initiatives that I've done.
Hmm.
And coming back to this Malayali characterization,
Yeah.
portrayal of some of the Malayali characters, I believe that's important
Yeah.
along the same lines,
Hmm.
uh, because uh, because it's also a way in which I can communicate about my culture to people,
Right.
and they would feel happy about it.
Hmm.
And like all these ideas, thoughts go hand in hand. Like talking about taboo,
Right.
talking about things that are uh, things that are stigmatized,
Hmm.
and talking about narratives lesser told, I think goes along the same line.
Right.
And what we are trying to ultimately do is to create a larger inclusive world
Definitely.
wherein differences are not what defines your identity, or
Hmm.
differences are not seen in a negative shade, but
Yes.
differences are accommodated and celebrated, right? I
Definitely.
mean,
Yeah.
that's the important stuff. Like often, in mental health, like conflicts arise when there are differences, and differences are uh, paved to be, I mean, differences became nourishing ground for conflicts
Hmm.
uh, and discrimination, and that's when some of the mental health issues also stems up. But then if we try to accept the reality, when differences are celebrated and accepted, I think it lessens that.
No,
So that's
definitely.
what I think that's what the larger picture that we are trying to build, and also accommodate different narratives. And something that is close to me is this identity and the
Yeah.
culture that I have. So I believe, okay, maybe when people start knowing these stuff, I think they'll also accept this narrative, and
Yeah.
the essence of the South,
Yeah.
what my culture is all about.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
I would love to do that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and you and I have had a personal conversation regarding identity and culture, regarding being Malayali,
Yeah,
especially, which
yeah.
it's very important, like you said, because even for people who identify as, say, in our case as Malayali, and people who say are not from Kerala or have grown up outside Kerala or even outside India for that matter, it becomes
Hmm.
so. There's a lot of confusion that happens because you're staying in a different place, but culturally you're something else, and there's almost like this
Hmm.
internal conflict you're having because you have the rest of
Right,
the world or other people or society who view your culture in a certain way, and suddenly you're like, oh my god,
right,
is it not cool to be this, or is it okay to be
right,
this, or whatever? Because, and I think I have seen that shift over the years where as Malayalis, we were quite ridiculed at one point. Like, I don't, the culture was, most South Indians were, but definitely Malayali culture, I think, especially because there was the whole stereotype of, oh, coconut oil and this, that, and all. But I think
mm,
now, especially, thanks to, say, OTT platforms or social media or people who are
mm,
coming out and talking about it, or platforms and pages like, Humans of Kerala, Yellow Club, and whatnot, that
mm.
conversation, that narrative is slowly shifting, and like you said, we are becoming a more inclusive society. There's a
Right,
better
right.
understanding of culture and people, and like, okay, of course the stereotypes and jokes will still be there, not denying that, and humor is fine, but I think there is a deeper
Right,
understanding of, like, that, okay, this is what the culture is, this is what people stand for, this is what it's
right,
like. I think that is amazing. And you kind of offer that
right,
help
right.
with people to identify what they are culturally as well.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
Agree.
Thank you for offering those platforms for sure. You're really helping a lot of
Yeah.
people. Just don't realize it yet, Rahul.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sangeeta.
So, yeah, we're now kind of coming towards the end of our interview. So, we
Okay.
usually end with these last two questions. The first
Mm,
one being, what are your aspirations? What are you looking forward to in the near or even distant future? Could be anything.
mm, mhm. Okay. Um, I think ultimately my aspiration is, to be honest, to become a filmmaker.
Right,
Okay. Uh, I love I love filmmaking. Bringing in different narratives and uh, finally making that magnum opus where I can uh, show something different.
right,
I don't know, like I would say, like, this is a most cliched thing anyone would have said, like, they want to make something different. Like, I'm really looking forward to that.
right.
I'm passionate about this medium,
Hmm.
which is also sort of educational, awareness building and communication platform. But at the same time, I believe it has a lot of a vast influence, like a larger section, a larger crowd in the world is still educated, and the awareness is through filmmaking or narratives. You also rightly mentioned about how OTT platforms
Right.
and content
Yeah.
are driving that narrative and awareness. I
Hmm.
think it's still, uh, till still. I mean, going forward to films have a huge role to play in terms of the impact,
Hmm.
uh, and maybe if not as a social entrepreneur, if not as a change maker too, I would love to do something that's very different in film. So that's my that's my aspiration, like, and that's what I am looking forward to in
Yeah.
life. So sooner, maybe, hopefully, at least in my late 30s, I would love to start or at least do one film at least.
That's
That's
amazing.
what that's
Yeah.
my dream, like.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And do you want to do it as a Malayalam movie, or are you looking at another language or medium?
I haven't uh, finalized on that, but
Okay.
as of now, I was thinking it would be like a mixed, not so Malayalam, but
Hmm.
maybe in English, or
Oh, fun.
uh, it would be mixed of different languages and
Yeah.
mostly in English.
Yeah.
So I haven't stick to any particular culture or language as of now, but I want to do
Definitely.
something different.
Yeah,
That's what
for
I know.
sure. Yeah. And I think now with especially content like say a family man or just the work like say a Raj and DK are doing, I think they've proven like pan
Mm,
India content just works. You can mix languages, you
mm,
can mix cultures, and you do there's such amazing
true.
work coming out, which I think is
I agree.
incredible. But just pivoting a little, what are some of the films and stories that have inspired and influenced you, if you can maybe name a few, if you can.
Um, like I think there are a lot of favorite movies that I have.
Hmm.
Some kind of directors that I really follow, like some directors that I love, like
Hmm.
for the mystery and the kind of uh, that prolonged effect that their movies create, the impact. I love some of them. To name
Okay.
a few, David Lynch,
Okay.
uh, David Fincher,
Yeah. Oh,
Christopher
amazing. Yeah.
Nolan, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Uh, these are the people like some of the great directors I've really inspired from.
Hmm.
Someone who I looked up on,
Hmm.
and some of their movies, I would say, uh, Christopher Nolan, like all of his movies have got that twist,
Right.
that that uh,
Hmm.
uh, that eureka moment towards the end, and then uh, that kind of narrative, like the kind of narrative he plays with the non-linear stuff.
Right.
Those kinds of movies have really influenced me. Movies like Inception,
Hmm.
uh, Memento,
Right.
and for from David Lynch, I would say the Mulholland Drive
Okay.
uh, has influenced me a lot, and some movies like which are like classic, I would say, uh, have really had a long lasting impact on me, uh, such as the Jailbreak movie,
Okay.
Shawshank Redemption,
Yeah.
and uh, I would say thriller movies are my most fond genre.
Yeah.
Amongst thrillers, I would say Seven
Yeah.
uh, has been a really inspiring movie for me, and psychological thrillers such as Sixth Sense
Yeah.
have made a huge impact. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
spread around all these genre, and especially thriller mystery is something that I'm fond of. So I think these are the most influential stories in my life, the films.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love psychological thrillers as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you make. And if you're making a psychological thriller by any chance, definitely gonna watch it whenever it's out.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, coming to our last question of the day. What is a
Mm.
piece of advice or learning you'd like to share with people? It can be creative, professional, or something you've just experienced in life and you wish people knew more about.
Okay. I mean, uh, frankly speaking, I don't know if I'm in a position to give any advice. But these all the things I would always speak of would look
Hmm.
like the thoughts I have at that spontaneous moment,
Hmm.
and the realization till then,
Hmm.
till this point of time.
Yeah.
So maybe this is what I feel like now. This might change. Perceptions would change. I would also learn, like we all learn together
Right.
with time.
Yeah.
So, but now, as of now, when I think I look back, I
Yeah.
think it's like try to dare to take up challenges. Those
Right.
like try to try. Even it's okay to try challenging to make a difference.
Right.
And if it's okay that if you are alone,
Right.
uh, I think an amazing thing that I found out is there is a lot of networking possibilities in the current scenario.
Right.
Uh, with all the infrastructure that we have in with technology,
Yeah.
social media, and
Hmm.
all the platform,
Yeah.
networking is really possible now. You know,
True.
you may feel like you are the only one who want to do this different thing, something
Right.
that you're passionate about, and you might feel you are alone. But
Right.
I tell you, you're not. You can find as many people as you want who
True.
who think the same way. Years before, when there was no technology of this sort, I would say, like, you might feel really alone and you might have to struggle a lot.
Right.
Now I would definitely say that's not the case.
Right.
There is a lot of networking possibility to make, so
Right.
make use of that.
Hmm.
Try to find people who resonate with what you're passionate about, and then you can always pull it off with the team when you find that synergy with someone who is passionate for the same cause. So, dare to take that first step to
Right.
stand out and come out, and then you will
Definitely.
find the people much easily than before to work with you and to build on your dream.
Yeah.
So I would say, that's the only thought that I have in my mind now. So yeah.
No, it's a very relevant thought, and I completely agree. You're right. I think today, if you take that first step and you really make the effort to reach out to people, it's amazing, the kind of people you can get access to, the kind of, contacts and help you can get access to. So it's definitely a great time actually for networking, like you said.
Right.
So
Yeah.
completely agree on that. And with that, we've come to the end of this interview. Thank you so much for being here, Rahul. Absolutely loved this
Yeah.
conversation. I hope you had fun being here.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Sangeeta, once again. Like, I know there have been a lot of relapses, and we
Yeah.
couldn't do this, uh, as planned before. But I think I'm really thankful that you kept me in the loop, and then you have come back to me and scheduled the whole stuff, made all the arrangements, and took this much effort. So thank you, Sangeeta, for this acknowledgement. I'm really honored to be here. So thank you once
The
again.
honor is all mine. Thank you so much, Rahul. So that was my conversation with Rahul Roy. I found it really interesting to hear how he started Humans of Kerala and Yellow Club, along with his vision for both these organizations. I also really enjoyed chatting with him about storytelling as a tool for social change and how we can truly leverage stories for the greater good. Closing this episode with a poem from Yellow Club's magazine, Agnosthesia, narrated by me. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll see you next week with a new guest and a new chronicle to share. Talk soon! This piece is called A Work in Progress, written by Vinay R. A cloudy morning, as dark as night, engulfing the falcons, those flocked over his head. On his clustered thoughts they fed. Winter had arrived. The cold silence disguised as tranquility, while voices within wouldn't stop bickering, like black and white lights flickering. The war of words had begun, with spectator falcons a ton. It is what's morally right. Yes, but you are a hypocrite. For he grew up in a world of coffee, where lies were rewarded with toffee. The shackles held on firmly. Unlearning wasn't easy. Say it out loud, but don't let them hear you, the crowd. How does that matter? Stupid and wrong, pitter patter. The ocean of arguments drowned him voiceless. A tiny stroke seemed a million miles. A tiny stroke that appeared choiceless brought him closer to the ocean's smiles. An amalgamation of stardust, piecing together broken hope before the world reeks of rust. With the falcons he will cope, as spring bids them farewell. Like a silver lining on the dark winter cloud, he was a work in progress.